صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الثاني على حب الحسن والحسين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الثالث على حب الزهراء بأعلى أصواتكم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى آل بيتك الطاهرين. ما خاب من تمسك بكم أمنا من لجأ إلى حصنكم سادتي. سيدي صاحب الزمان، أنت المعزى بجدك أمير المؤمنين. لبس الإسلام وإبراد السواد حين أرد المرتضى سيف المراد. قتلوه وهو في محرابه طاوي الأحشاء من ماء وزايا. سيدي يا أمير المؤمنين، يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم وشفاء لما في الصدور. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Enlightening your Majlis and this is gathering with three loud salawats ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. First and foremost, we send our deepest of condolences to the Imam of our time, Imam al-Mahdi al-Muntadhar Ajalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif, our great Maraja, our scholars, yourselves, your families, the whole Islamic Ummah, in fact, all of mankind on the martyrdom of the Prince of Believers, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Commander of Believers, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi afdal salati wassalam. Yesterday, we spoke about that inner struggle between intellect and desire, and we said that how piety is the main way or the main source that we need to work on in order for us to make sure that we can beat these desires that we are talking about. And we said that part of it is the idea of dhikrullah. And we explained what this jihad is, what is jihad on nafs. And we explained this self-struggle. And we explained how this is the biggest struggle that we truly have. Even bigger than the wars that some of the companions of the Holy Prophet took part in, where he said, now get ready for the greater jihad. So we understood that this is a greater jihad. And we realized that what piety is, its true definition, and we said that it is God consciousness and to be always aware of Allah and to have Him in front of you. And we said through this, Allah will create an opening for you. Today, we will continue from what we were talking about yesterday, and we will separate today in the following format. First, we will look at how the ulama of akhlaq talked about the nafs and what categories did they put the nafs in. Then we will look at which category of these three would we want to be a part of, and then we will look at how we can get there, which for those of you who have seen the title of today, you will see the title is Quran, the remedy and the cure. So we will see how Quran is the source that will take us towards that, and how it matches the piety we were talking about yesterday, and how this is the main thing that helps our piety itself. Inshallah, we will do that with your permission and with 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Yesterday we mentioned a narration from Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi wassalam, where we said that he said that Allah Azza wa Jal created the humans with both intellect and desire. Angels were created with only intellect. Animals were created with only desire. And we explained this narration yesterday, which is why I'm going over it fast. And that if the intellect was to beat the desire, then we become greater than angels. And if the desire was to beat the intellect, then we become lower than animals. Ahsan. However, the real question is, what are these desires, and how do I train my intellect, and what allows one to be stronger than the other? In other words, what are the 3 stages that our scholars of akhlaq have separated our nafs to begin with? Meaning, if I am in the position, because now we have 3 options. We have 3 options. Either intellect is greater than desire, correct? Or intellect and desire are equal, or desire is is higher than the intellect. Those 3 steps that we are talking about, what are they called? What did our scholars call them? And what do they actually mean? So we start from the lowest. The lowest, which is a position where a person will be lower than the animals, is when an individual allows their desire to overcome their intellect. This, our scholars of akhlaq called it an-nafsul ammara. Ammara comes from the word amara. Amara means to order. It orders the person to move towards specific desires. It is a position that a person comes in where their desire completely overcomes their intellect, and they cannot see anything in front of them anymore except for what they wish for, and except for what they are desiring at that specific moment of time. Which is why yesterday we used a live example of how piety can work, and we explained the 3 steps of piety from the story of Nabi Allah Yusuf alayhi wa ala nabina wa alihi afdalu salatu wassalam. In that same story, Zulaykha, when she realized the effects of what she had done, do you know what she said? وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي إِنَّ النَّفْسِ شُنُو لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. I am not going to say that I can't be held accountable. Surely, myself orders me towards that which is what? Bad. Therefore, she got to a stage where herself was ordering her towards bad, and her intellect has no power over her desire whatsoever. This we call a nafsul ammara, and this is the most dangerous position a person can come to. Which is why maybe at one time a person will see or they would realize that a certain action is wrong. But that realization of the wrong action has no effect on them. I'll give you an example. Umar ibn Sa'd, may Allah withdraw his mercy from him, when he stood on the day of Ashura, believe me, he knew what he was doing is wrong. He knew what he was doing is wrong. The issue, however, was what? That realizing he was wrong was not enough to put his desire away. Why? He says on the day of Ashura, أَأَتْرُكُ مُلْكَ الرَّيِّ وَالرَّيُّ مُنْيَتِي. Should I leave the promise I was given of leading Ray, and that has something I have always wished for. I have always wished for this, and now finally it's coming. أَأَتْرُكُ مُلْكَ الرَّيِّ وَالرَّيُّ مُنْيَتِي أَمْ أَرْجُعْ مَأْثُومًا بِقَتْلِ Hussein. So he puts himself in a position where either I take Ray, which is desire, or sinning, which is killing Imam al-Hussein, and you all know what happened on that day. That intellect, although it is still there, of course it remains there, because the human was created with both. And we can't say one doesn't work anymore. No, we don't say it doesn't work. We say it has no power anymore. You imagine, if we were to put the image in this manner, imagine there's a group of soldiers on each side. Desire has a group of soldiers, and intellect has a group of soldiers. At this specific moment, we allow our desire we constantly give ammunition to our desire, and our intellect, we said, do you know what, you don't need any backup. It gets to a point where it fully takes over. This is called Nafs al-Ammara. Then you have one where they are equal, or one is passing the other. This we call al-Nafs al-Lawwama. Why do they call it Nafs al-Lawwama? Because this is where the nafs starts talking. You know, sometimes when a person does something that is bad, they feel guilty. This is Nafs al-Lawwama. And I promise you, to have Nafs al-Lawwama is something very good. Why? Because it means the intellect is still there. It isn't one of these things, you know, sometimes you get to a point, فَاسْتَحْوَذَ عَلَيْهِمُ الشَّيْطَانِ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ ذِكْرَ اللَّهِ. Shaitan can take over in such a manner that they forget the remembrance of Allah. That is part of Nafs al-Ammara. In Lawwama, no, there is still hope. A person is in a position where they realize what they are doing is wrong, and therefore they find ways in which to fix this. This is something extremely safe. However, if I constantly feel bad about doing something, and I do nothing about it, I will move from Nafs al-Lawwama to Nafs al-Ammara. Why? Because a very common example to use, and I'm not using it because it's a cliche example, but because genuinely this is the best example to give. When you are young, lying is one of the last things you think of. Lying, and the moment you lie, it's as if you have killed 10 people on the same day. This is when a person is really young. They get used to lying. And they lie, one lie after the other, one lie after the other, until it becomes something very normal. Nafs al-Lawwama before was telling them what? Don't lie. Feel bad about it. But suddenly they get to a point where now they understand nothing about it anymore, and it means nothing to them. This is where they move to Nafs al-Ammara. Therefore, hold yourselves accountable. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi afdal salati was salam, and for his remembrance, salawat. Imam al-Sadiq would say, hold yourself accountable before you are held accountable. That is one. Two, the one who does not hold themselves accountable at least once a week is not of us. Meaning, we all want to claim to be Ja'fari. We all want to claim that we are followers of the Ahlul Bayt. They said, the one who does not remember us, who does not hold themselves accountable at least once a week is not of us. It's not of us. Therefore, holding one accountable is very important. Before we are held accountable, and this is very easy, and I think I mentioned steps of accountability a few years ago for those that remember. Many of you, mashallah, you've grown a lot. But a few years ago, I mentioned steps to accountability. I'm not going to repeat that lecture. However, I will mention one thing, which is that in terms of accountability, the most simple thing to do and the most practical thing to do, genuinely, when you put your head on your pillow, think about your day. Think about what things you have done or said that you would want to change, and what things you have done or said that you want to continue or improve on. This is something very important. The one who has 2 days that are equal, they are in loss. من تساوى يومان فهو مغبون. 2 days equal, they are in loss. How many days are we not equal, but rather the next day we are lower? Something to ponder about. I'm not saying that this is the case. I'm saying these are things that we can think about today, inshallah. So that is that. How about if I continue to give my nafs more ammunition, or rather my intellect more ammunition, and I allow it to be of extreme strength? I move from that which is called al-nafsul lawwama to the best of the nufus that are described by the scholars of akhlaq, which is al-nafsul mutma'inna. This means the reassured soul. This is the soul that is reassured. Why are they reassured? Because they are in such a state of reassurance due to the fact that they know that they never submitted to their desires. And these are the examples of prophets, these are the examples of imams, these are the examples of good servants of Allah Azza wa Jal, and inshallah these are examples of the believing faces that are sitting in front of me. You get to a point where you give full power to your intellect. Desire means nothing anymore. Like we mentioned yesterday in the story of Nabiullah Yusuf, thankfulness, etc. These steps that we mentioned, these are steps that allow us to reach nafsul mutma'inna. It is about these people that Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Al-Fajr, Ya ayyatuha nafsul mutma'inna, O reassured soul, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya, go back to your Lord, pleased and having been pleased, or having been made pleased. فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي أنت amongst my servants, meaning the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam and his family. Enter amongst my servants and enter my heaven. So this is the position. So surely, now that we have just listened to this, we already want to be of the third category, where the intellect completely overpowers the desire. And I take you back. This specific issue, we said is called mutma'inna, and I take you to a verse that says, أَلَا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. Surely through the remembrance of Allah, the hearts become reassured. I now ask you a question. Isn't this what we were talking about yesterday? Because how did we define piety? We said piety is God consciousness, where we allow ourselves to always see Allah in front of us. Correct? So therefore it is through that that I reach mutma'inna. But in order for me to have that, there is a remedy. A remedy for what? Why did I call this Quran the remedy and the cure? Because the one who allows their desire to overcome their intellect, they are ill. They are in illness. The cure to that illness is the Quran. The first cure to that illness is the Quran. The Quran has been described in a manner. In the verse that we started with, it came first as a maw'idha, which means it came as examples that you can benefit from. وَشِفَاءٌ لِمَا فِي الصُّدُورِ, and a cure for that which is within the hearts. Why is it all within the chest? Why is it a cure for that which is within the chest? Because it is of the greatest masadir, of the greatest examples of what dhikrullah is. To the extent where Allah Azza wa Jal would describe it as dhikr. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr. So he described the Quran as what? As remembrance. So through the Quran, I reach what? Remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is one. Number two, we have many narrations from our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And Amir al-Mu'minin al-Mu'mineen, and I'm going to summarize them with one line. Those who want the narrations, come to me after the Majlis, I'm happy to give them to you. We have many narrations of the same meaning. That in the Quran is a cure. In the book of Allah, there is a cure. In the reading of the Quran, there is a cure. Come to me afterwards, I'll give you the narrations. However, this is the idea that we want to put forward. This is one. Number two, a very amazing narration I read today that I shared with my dear brother Sayyid Yasser. Literally today, I read it and I found it absolutely beautiful, in which Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi afdalu salatu wassalam, he narrates. He says that the Holy Messenger of Allah, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, I'm really sorry to cut you off, and I'm really sorry to make you stop. We've just had iftar. The lecture is literally half an hour. I'm sure we can wait until after that. I'm really sorry. Because tea is going around, water is going around, and no one's going to focus on this, man. I'm really sorry. I do, forgive me, please. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So Amir al-Mu'mineen says that the Holy Prophet would say, there will surely be a great fitna. There will surely be a great calamity. There will surely be a great test. And today I ask you, are we not witnessing tests today? Are we not witnessing these tests with our children? Are we not witnessing these tests with our families, with our sisters, with our brothers, with our uncles, with our aunts, with everyone? Everyone. The test today, especially in the West, is something that is not describable at all. The Prophet said that there will be a test. There will be a great test. Amir al-Mu'mineen asked the perfect question at that time. He said, Ya Rasulullah, how do we pass this test? Or how are we able to then be able to overcome this test? How are we able to overcome this calamity? Do you know what the Prophet said? Kitab Allah. Through the Quran. Yes, through the book of Allah you will be able to do that. Why? Because in it has the news of the people that came before you, and it has news of the people that will come after you. Meaning today, and we mentioned something very similar yesterday, today when I look at a certain calamity, I look back at certain lives of the prophets and how did they deal with them. And from that I learn. Sometimes I look at certain lives of certain prophets and I see their community, how were they? And I learn from that. A simple example, and I'm going to prepare you for this again, that we have a talk coming up on building a stronger community, inshallah. However, I want to mention this one point that I will mention in that one, and I will explain it further, but just something to ponder about. A Quranic reference, so that we see how the Quran is the remedy. Because the remedy of the Quran is not that it's a pill that you swallow. Rather, it is words that you read and you allow it to enter your heart. When it talks about the camel of Salih, what does it say in the Quran? فَعَقَرُوهَا, correct? What does فَعَقَرُوهَا mean? And they slaughtered it. They in the what? In the plural sense. How many people slaughtered the camel of Salih? One? What did the Quran say? They slaughtered it. They slaughtered it. Why? Because that community was not a community that was helping and aiding each other. That was a community, each one of them stayed to the side. From this, I learn and I take a mu'adha from it. In it there is a mu'adha, the verse we started with. In it there is a mu'adha. We brought you that which has mu'adha. And we brought you that which has a cure. Because through this mu'adha I become what? I become cured. At a time when I am in a position where I have no idea, for example, of the importance of paying sadaqah. Or, no, I have an idea of the importance of paying sadaqah. But usually what do I do? 1p coins, I'll put them in there. 2p coins. Maybe, if the faqir is lucky, I'll put some 10p coins. The reality of the situation is, the Quran says what? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرْ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. This is a cure for me. when you read the Quran next, after today, read it in the sense that what you are reading is a cure and a remedy, because Allah said the Quran is a cure and a remedy. Now these verses, instead of thinking of them as just verses that you read, think of them as a cure. So now I have been cured from my selfishness to become selfless. Because selfishness is what? An illness. Do we now understand why the Quran is a cure? Selfishness is an illness. I will not reach that great status until I give from that which I love. And that cures my illness. So these are the ideas that we want to apply. However, just like, and I become very scared when I talk about these things and pharmacists are looking me straight into the eye. Just like you find a medicine that has been prescribed to you, you take that medicine, you open up the packet, you can read, what do you call the warqa that comes with it? The information leaflet. You can read the information leaflet from now, we say in Arabic, till tomorrow morning. Okay? You can keep reading it 10 million times. Will you be cured from it? Until you take the medicine, you will not be cured. Therefore, Quran also, you can read it from now till tomorrow morning. As we are saying, you can read it 1 million times. You will not receive its cure until you allow your heart to accept these words. Until you swallow that pill, only then will you be cured. You don't swallow that pill, it's not going to have any effect. And likewise the Quran. Allow these verses to enter the heart. How do I allow them to enter the heart? Open up your heart. Don't close it off. How? Through piety. Go back to yesterday's talk, which has been uploaded, inshallah. Inshallah, now we will turn to the Arabic side, inshallah. But to do that, please grant me permission. The 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.